All right, so here we are in Tinkercad, Computer Assisted Design program. And I'm going to walk you guys through just some basic functions, right? So this is kind of like the work plane, and you can control what perspective it's in just by moving around this cube. And you can see that it says left, top, front, right? So just kind of moving it around. I like to look at it from this angle. And then we have, on the right, we have pretty much like all the basic shapes that you can import and experiment with. Basic shapes, text and numbers, characters, connectors, and then just like some other fun stuff that you can look at. For now, I'm going to try and do something real simple, like a half sphere. So what you need to know about the functions on the form itself is that this little cone up here will drag the form up and down. So that's basically how you control and manipulate it in space. If you want to make it bigger or wider, then you would pull on these guys. So these little squares here kind of represent how big it is and how much bigger or taller you want to make it. So I'm just going to lay it flat on the work plane there. And if you want to move it side to side, just drag it from side to side. If you want to get closer and look at it in a closer view, just drag on your mouse with your two fingers. Now, again, like I like to look at it like this because it tells me how close it is to the work plane. Right? So then I'm just going to try and stick it down on the work plane there. And you can see it's at a 0 coordinate. What that means it's directly on the work plane. Okay, so now I'm going to drag a little donut shape. It's called a torus, and this is the connector that I like to use for keychains. So I'm just going to pull that right over. I'm going to delete it and start again. So I'm just going to connect them, right? Kind of inserting that guy right into it. And I do feel like it's a little too big, so I'm going to make it a little smaller, thinner. So I'm not really happy with the orientation, and I can't look at it very well. So what I'm going to do is group these two objects together. So I'm going to select, just drag this red square and select both of my objects. And then I'm going to group them. Up here is group, Control G. Grouping them and then just turning it into one whole form, right? And this allows me to like move both of them at the same time. Just going to move it over to the center where I can kind of manipulate it easier and look at it better. I like how it's looking so far. Looks pretty even, not too thick. You can always disconnect the two objects again, like ungroup them. So select the objects again and ungroup. So now what I'm going to do is just personalize it a little bit. I'm going to add the first letter of my name. You can also do shapes like a star or a heart, something like that. So I'm going to go to the text. And then just type a letter C in the text field here. And you can even choose like a few different types of fonts. And you can experiment with what that does. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to drag this over and lay it right on top of my keychain there. So I'm going to rotate it to the other orientation, right? So it's facing forward. Try to find this little guy here. Let me see. There it is. So you want this function here to be able to rotate it to 90 degrees. There we go. It's just like a little clock, like a winding thingy. Do I have any questions so far? All right, anyway, I'm going to move this over on top of here. Straighten it out. And use my little cone thingy to drag it down. And then we're going to create a hole. So basically I want it to be like indented or hollow. You can do both, like you can make it stick out or you can hollow it out. So just click hole and it makes a hole inside of your shape. Alright, so I'm going to group all of this design together. Select, group, and then I'm going to move it around. I want to look at it from the top to see if it's all aligned. I don't think it's very aligned, so what I'm going to do is select, and there is an align button right over here. I think it'll align it for you. Let's see what happens. I think it has to be ungrouped in order to align them. Yeah, so ungroup it and then hit align, and you should be able to align the letter, for instance. Let's see. There we go. There we go. So these little black buttons on the side represent the aligning function. And you just have to click them and like figure out which parts it's going to align for you. And if you mess up, just undo it. I'm pretty happy with it. From all angles, it looks fine. It's aligned. It's not too thick. It's pretty perfect, actually. Okay. So that's the end of my, tutorial. It's pretty basic. Like, you can learn this just by doing it. But when it comes time to export the file, you're going to go to Export, click STL file, and then it'll download straight to your desktop. And then, of course, you're going to email me the file to my email, which I'll give to you in a second. And then from here, I'll show you the next step. It's we got to put it into another program. It's called Cura Maker, and from there, we're going to transport it to a little thumb drive, and take it to the 3D printer and get it printed out. And it does have to be really hot, the filament has to get hot, and it's pretty fun to watch. So as soon as I start printing out your creations, I will let you guys watch the process.